Since the debacle that was NHL 15 3 years ago, it's safe to say that the NHL series finally got back on track with NHL 17 last year. But after getting things back into a nice rhythm, the pressure is on EA Sports to deliver another fun experience with NHL 18. Now the game doesn't make the jump to the Frostbite engine like its EA Canada partner FIFA Soccer did last year, or Madden NFL did this year. Instead, it remains on the familiar Ignite engine for the fourth year in a row. The player models do look good and move well on the ice, but when you've had as much time with the same engine as the NHL team has had, you really shouldn't expect anything less. NHL 18 features a new defensive skill stick that finally brings purpose to the blue line players. Having control of your stick as opposed to it just moving wherever your player's body happens to be adds a nice new wrinkle to how you attack forwards in all areas of the ice. Now most players may not notice the difference with the feature, but those who play defense in the EASHL will certainly appreciate the added control. The offensive skill stick has also seen an update with the addition of some new moves like between the legs, shots, and passes. When you pull them off, they can provide some incredible highlight reel plays, but attempting the moves require Mortal Kombat-like button combinations that can prove to be too tedious to warrant even attempting during competitive games. One-handed dekes though? Now those are worth trying to utilize over and over again. And to get the hang of the new skill stick moves, it's recommended that you do utilize the new training camp that puts you in a variety of situations that'll help you become a better player on the ice. The new gem of NHL 18 is the debuting threes mode that takes 3-on-3 hockey and puts it over the top. You can take part in the circuit to unlock new arenas, mascots to play with, and teams. You can do simple games versus CPU, or even go online against or with players around the world. What's cool about the mode is that you can do the circuit mode with a friend online via co-op. Its fast-paced and arcade nature poses a nice change from standard games, and it's definitely one of the best aspects about NHL 18. For years, AI-controlled players have gotten in the way more often than they've helped. EA Sports is hoping that the new Creative AI changes will alleviate that problem. CPU players don't just skate straight up and down the ice anymore. Instead, they actually will dump the puck around the boards, make bank passes off the boards, and will stay in position more often than not. They do a better job at analyzing the play more, rather than just rushing into a common situation. Now it's not a perfect system by any means, and AI will still find themselves chasing in areas that they shouldn't, but it does help make a more realistic experience on the ice. And speaking of creative, NHL 18 offers an overhauled menu system that finally feels fast and responsive. Players can now create a quick menu by pinning 3 items to the main menu that you first see in the game for easy access. The rest of the options can easily then be accessed from a nice and quick secondary menu. It doesn't sound like much, but a responsive menu is a major improvement over what we've been given in the past. With the Vegas Golden Knights entering the fold, expansion was touted throughout the build-up as one of the big features of NHL 18. Utilizing the full creation suite that's available, players can add a new team to the NHL, as well as a new AHL team for the first time ever. There's a full expansion draft with protected lists, and the leagues even realign properly depending on where you put the new team. Now when it comes to expanding a league, there are usually things to consider about potential markets. How big is the region? What is the interest like among the people there? What type of arena deals can they offer? And what is the potential for a national following? None of that matters in NHL 18. You choose the market size no matter the city, you choose how passionate the fan base is, and you choose how prestigious your franchise is. It pales in comparison to how relocation works, where that information is already generated for you, and you actually have to take those aforementioned details into consideration before deciding where to place a team. The idea of expansion is great in concept, but it comes up a bit short in initial practice. Franchise mode, however, does finally offer in-season contract extensions, which adds another strategy to managing your team. Should you try and keep a pending free agent, or should you see what you can get for him on the trade market after negotiations possibly fall through? Free agency and drafting logic have also seen tweaks that make it more realistic, which should keep players coming back to their franchise for multiple seasons. NHL 18 also expands the game outside of the modes with the reintroduction of true co-op play. Whether it's you and a friend playing locally against other players online, or you're simply teaming up to play a co-op game against the computer online, NHL 18 is giving players more ways to enjoy the game with each other. Of course, it would be nice if GM Connected would return, but fans will have to wait at least another year for that possibility. Though the attempt to improve franchise mode with expansion may not be the major addition one would have expected it to be, it was still a nice attempt to add something more to a mode that fans seem to feel is often neglected. That's more than what can be said about some of the other returning modes in the game. Be It Pro continues to be the same grind that we've seen since the series came to the Xbox One and PS4. You create your player, choose to start in the NHL or CHL, and work to become a Hall of Famer. But don't worry, you can now request a trade. You know, that simple feature that was somehow removed from this mode like every other redeeming quality that it had on last-gen systems? Yeah, that's finally back. Ultimate Team remains mostly the same with the exception of a couple new additions like challenges and competitive seasons, while Draft Champions comes back virtually untouched. The EASHL offers a few new unlockables for your club like mascots, but it also remains much of the same from a feature standpoint except for one major addition. Teams now have the option to play in games in a 3-on-3 with an AI goaltender, as opposed to the standard 6-on-6. It may not sound big, but opening up the space and putting the games more into the hands of the users goes a long way towards making the ASHL even more worthy of coming back to day in and day out. NHL 18 continues to feature NBC broadcasting with the returning team of Doc Emrick, Eddie Olczyk, and Ray Ferraro. There are some updated lines of commentary, but like most of the modes in NHL 18, the presentation feels like too much of the same. NHL 18 isn't a bad game by any means. EASHL, Ultimate Team, Franchise, and Threes all provide players with modes worth replaying. The problem is that there's nothing that really makes it considerably better than last year's installment. If you're hoping that the game provides a major step forward for the series, you're going to be disappointed. It's still fun to play, but with an old engine, a dry presentation, and no major improvements, NHL 18 is teetering on the line of becoming a stale experience. For more NHL 18 content, be sure to stick with SportsGamersOnline.com.